Cool. All right. Well, we are live here with Laura Helen, and Laura is excited to talk about her experience as a world schooler, a term that not everybody's even familiar with. It's one particular vein and offset of the wider community of homeschooling. And so, welcome, Laura. Thanks for taking the time to talk with us.
Thanks for having me. I'm honored.
Yeah. So, where are we talking to you from at this moment?
I have actually just flown back to the UK, but this year we did Spain and Egypt.
Spain and Egypt. I did see, I think your profile picture is you guys with pyramids and camels. So.
It was unreal, absolutely magic.
So, okay, I guess what do you guys do for a living, and how did world schooling become a thing for you and your family?
We wanted to create life on purpose, so we've created a business online. We now have multiple businesses. We have our main business, which is where we create best-selling authors. So we take someone who's overcome a challenge against diversity, want to be the expert in their industry, want to be a thought leader, and we help them create books that make a difference, make an impact, and boost their brand and their business. And then we have the other side where we help parents create life by design, get out of the norm or the norms. I think you find when you're new at homeschooling, you just lose more and more boxes and just get more and more free. And we help people speed up that journey.
Yeah, well, that's incredibly neat. So you guys have been able to create a life to then have purpose and direction with your children that you have hoped for, and now your business and your different things have aligned so that you can go out and do the thing together. And I guess you get into model the live action work from anywhere lifestyle, just as you learn from anywhere, it sounds like, with the kids. So I'd love to hear more about how you have that balance with your family, maintaining these different things in different places with different time zones while also helping the kids with their learning.
So we really did create life on purpose. Our businesses could be so much bigger. They could be making so much more noise. We could be like boosting it everywhere and getting loads more people. But we kind of selfishly, we call it simmering. We just keep it just enough that we need. So during the day, we go explore the world. We create with the kids. We go learn and explore together. And then when they go to bed, that's when our laptops come out. We connect with clients. We make a difference and we make an impact.
So you go through your day just doing life, and then work is the afterthought. Is that what I mean?
Absolutely. Today we baked gingerbread cookies and we've done Christmas cards and like really just Christmassy fun stuff.
That's awesome. So I guess one thing I'm interested in, I'm not a world schooler, right? I'm just over here planted in one place for the time being. Do you guys keep a home base in the UK and that you come back to? Or is it just kind of we are where we are at the moment?
This is the bit that really freaks people out. We have a carry-on K-seat. That's it. We have no base to run home to. We don't even have family with spare rooms. So we really have no base to retreat to. We are where we are. We live where we are. We be where we be. Like, it's really that simple.
I do think that would make a lot of people nervous. I mean, that's got to be a particular kind of mindset shift to feel confident leaning into that. Where were you before you guys were traveling the world, and what made you make this change? Because I imagine you weren't always doing this. You're giving your kids maybe a different experience than you had yourselves. So what happened to get you guys to make that kind of decision where you're going to pack it all up in a suitcase and go where you go?
So this is very different to the childhoods we both had. We both grew up, government accommodation, preschools, and, slogged our way through. Since we had the little ones, we didn't have TV. We hadn't had TV a few years before we had the kids. We had a big world map up in the living room and we'd pin things on. We want to go here because we want to see this. We want to experience that. We want to try that food and all these different things. So it was always the big goal. We just didn't know how we were going to get there. When I had my firstborn, we brought home a 3-year-old, in a very messy situation. And to help bring her through that and out of that and be part of our family, put us in huge, crazy debts we couldn't predict. We practically mortgaged the child and couldn't dig our way out of it. So it was, how do we do this? There was no answer. And we didn't want to put them into the same place that we had. So we got creative. We discovered if you live in an Airbnb, you haven't got council tax, gas, water, you know, bills. It's one price plus food. So that's how we started, you know, planning. It was very scary to go from a big house to a suitcase. And it took a few trips to get it down to 1K each. But yeah, we went from huge debts, normal life, to house, jobs, cars, all that stuff. And then we made that transition. We made that leap. Hubby was so fearful. I'm very much, when I make a decision, I go all in on whatever I choose. So I'm like, let's go, burn the boats. Rah! Hubby called in sick for the first 3 months.
Wow.
Because he had that thing holding back.
Which I think probably a lot of us in this community would resonate more with hubby than we would with you. So how did you help him in his journey to make that transition with you? Because obviously you're doing this thing together, and you need a partner in crime. That's right. So how did you help him overcome his anxiety, or is that what a journey that he kind of went through on his own?
It was a journey, but it's just pointing out what seems so obvious to someone looking in. Is he leaves when it's dark, he gets home when it's dark, he barely sees the children, he's working really hard to build someone else's dream. And I'm like, it's worth the risk. If we try it for 1 month, fail and have to come back, at least we tried. All those hours he's putting into someone else's business could go into ours.
Yeah.
So it did take a bit of selling, to the point his toolbox is still in that garage nearly 9 years later. Like, he just called in sick and never went back, and it's still there because he never quite fully came out. We just went, and it worked.
Yeah. Wow. So you really, what we're talking about is a growth mindset, where you see opportunity in the world before you rather than scarcity. If we don't do this, then these will be the consequences. These are the bad things that could happen. But you see risk as just another opportunity for this is something else, it sounds like.
There's two kind of people. There's people that see fear and kind of hide and avoid and dodge it. And then there's people that see fear and run right at it. And I tend to be that one. I tend to be the person that runs straight into fear. It's the quickest way to overcome it. If something scares me, I'll do it again and again until I'm okay about it.
No, that's such a unique, there's a lot of people with that wiring, but that's such a unique perspective to have, that it does it. It allows you to lean into opportunities and create some different changes that would be hard to do without making that mindset shift first. So I'm sure, it seems like at this stage in the game, I'm assuming hubby is glad. He's bought in.
It took him about 3 weeks to think this is the right thing to do. Because I thought him and the kids were really close, because we made conscious effort. So at dinner time when he'd come home, I'd literally allow an hour for them to just be daddy and kids, proper focus time. Then we'd eat, put them to bed. So I thought, wow, they're carving out this proper quality time. And I thought we were doing really great, because I know lots of families don't always incorporate that. And then within 3 weeks of him being home every day, their relationship, like 1,000 times deeper, more present, more connection, more trust. Just, there was just such a huge shift. It's hard to explain. It was such a huge shift that he was brought in. Whatever it was going to take, he's now on board.
He had to see the change before he fully kind of bought into what was happening here.
Absolutely.
Wow. Okay. Well, I definitely want to get into part of the kind of the academic side and some of what that looks like for your family. But before we fully make that transition, it seems like entrepreneurship was the catalyst to make this happen. So I feel like we can't escape talking a little bit about the entrepreneurship side that made this reality possible for you, because it seems like debt and some hard circumstances were a part of the life that you were living in as you as a family made this change. So was entrepreneurship your way out? And did you figure it out as you go, or did you guys start with a plan and then start to make that a reality before you made this transition?
So anyone into self-development will know Richard Branson is a jump out of the plane and build a parachute on the way down guy. Yeah. Hi. Again, hubby is like a plan. He has like a checklist for everything, and he'll plan all this stuff. And I'm very much a like, whoa, let's do this. Why don't we try that? And then we try it, and then we build it on the way. Like it's very much been that as a journey. And we've grown and we've learned. And when we are doing well, we really invest in ourselves. You keep saying about mindset. We have worked with global world changers, strategic thinkers, like business entrepreneurs, all these different people we have learned so much amazing stuff from, which is more about us than anyone else. Anyone who gets into self-development realizes it's all our stuff. So it's taken time to unlearn all the stuff we got taught to conditioned when we were younger and replace that with a new mindset. And it's definitely passed on through the children, because even the children are little entrepreneurs.
That's fantastic. Okay, well then let's make that transition. Talk about your little entrepreneurs and what does a normal day look like for them as world schoolers?
A normal day. Ooh.
Yeah, we can put that in quotes.
What is that? So it does vary depending where we are, what we're doing. The day normally starts where my little boy, I talk about him like he's 3. He's actually 12 and taller than me. He comes, wakes me up, and every day we both wake up, we high five and celebrate. We both woke up and we get another day and we sit and read together. Hubby's normally already up doing work somewhere because she likes to plan everything ahead. And that my daughter's a teenager now, so then she scrolls up when she's woken up. And then we do, you know, especially if we're abroad, we go out, we have an adventure, we explore, we take part in nature or the local history, or if there's local events, and we go and find out, meet people, different cultures, languages. Right now where I am, I'm actually near family. So we often go and help, you know, my mum, family, go and do what we can to support and help and make a difference and make a change. We do not have school days. We do not have any kind of typical school day. Since they were tiny, it's been, if they ask a question, we go all in to answer it. We absolutely just feed their curiosity. They're like the 3-year-old. Why? Their questions are much more in depth and much more, they want to know. They have much better quality questions now, but they haven't lost the curiosity to learn, to explore, to discover that thing that we see in toddlers that we all love, but get squished at school. They've still got that at 12 and 15. And there's so much, I've learned so much more homeschooling my children than I learned at school. We learn and discover things all the time. And because we're not trying to be a teacher, we're learning together. The dynamics are just amazing.
Yeah, well, I think that is one caveat that homeschoolers have to shift into, is that we learn as a family, we learn together, we share experiences. Because if you have to be the educator, in a sense, for everything, that's a lot of pressure. But if you can be the fellow, you know, passenger or traveler, your student alongside your children, their accountability, the reinforcement. But if you can just be on the journey together, holding one another accountable as you all grow, that's a lot less stressful than having everything laid out dot by dot.
And I learned so much because they ask questions I wouldn't even thought of, because I've learned certain things and know certain things that I think I know. They come out with curveball questions and it makes me rethink everything I've ever been taught. The questions they have are such quality that make complete sense, but I never would have questioned because it was the narrative I grew up with. So it's been an eye-opener for me and hubby. We've learned so much. I'm sure we've learned more than they have.
This doesn't sound to me like you're toting around a bunch of curriculum and textbooks. It sounds like we have an experiential education rooted in the things that we do together and asking questions and curiosity. But I know from having spoken to quite a few families, that would create a lot of anxiety for, most of us came up in a very structured system saying this is how you learn and this is where you learn and maybe even this is why we learn. And the whole mission of that looks very different. What is your purpose? Like, what is the end goal that you aim at for your children? If they were to arrive at a certain destination as a particular kind of person, who do you see them being? Then what inspires you so that you feel like you know what you're running towards as you go on this journey together?
You have some awesome questions. And I was a straight A-star student. I was like nerd, had my different color stationery, was very much teacher's pet, did everything, prefect, you know, all that. We did the system, did as I was told. So I get that mindset. And we still have family members now that are like, but without GCSEs, what are they going to do? The world has changed.
Yeah.
The world has completely changed. As an example, I trained as a car mechanic at college, and the things they taught me in college, when I got into the garage, the cars we worked on were like 50 years old. It's no longer relevant to the cars that are out nowadays. And I think schooling hasn't caught up. They're still teaching people to be like worker bees, to go and stamp in and stamp out, clock in, clock out, do as they're told, take breaks when they're told. When the bell rings, then you can go and have a break. I think it's training them in the wrong way, and it's teaching them what to think. My core goal is to teach them how to think, how to find the answers, get resourceful. And my main goal for my children, if you ask them what they want to be, they will tell you happy. Because we've trained that since they were little. But then we ask them, what do you want to do in the world? What difference do you want to make? And when they share that, that's where we go and really, really dive deep into content that will help them move forward in that way.
Yeah, I'm pretty big in goals and casting a vision and a picture that's taking you somewhere. But I love that they're not binding themselves, or you're not binding them even to a career, to a thing. Rather, it's a state of being that they are aiming at. And there are things that are means to get them toward or deeper into that state of being, right? So happiness is a quality that we can share and we can carry with us no matter what we do.
And so many people are lacking it. There are so many rich, successful people out there who are empty, who are sad, who are alone, who know there's something missing but don't know what it is, because we don't get taught how to look after ourselves, how to love ourselves, how to fill ourselves up. You know, our kids have been doing random acts of kindness since they were tiny. They know how to give back. They know how to support. They know how it feels when you help someone else. And they know how it feels how to look after you.
Yeah, that's a different mindset. But you guys, you've leaned in. Is this all your kids know? Or have they been in
we have friends that are like normal and family members that are like, you know, the normal, and they sit and look and think, so he goes to work all week to pay for the house he's not in and support the children he doesn't see, and on Saturdays he has to go shopping, and on Sundays he has to clean the car so it looks nice to go to work again to pay for everything he can't spend any time with or in.
Yeah.
When you've come out of the system and look back in, normal looks crazy.
It does. It really does.
When you're in it, you can't see it because it's what everyone does and it's what we're supposed to do, and we're supposed to check all these boxes to be successful in life. When you come out and look in, it's like, they said they abolished slavery, but if you don't do this for this, you can't have this and this benefit. Like, it looks crazy once you've come out and look back in.
So how are you, whether it be organically or intentionally, teaching your children not to be cogs in the system, in the machine then? Obviously, they're bouncing around to different places. They're seeing different cultures and different contexts, and they're getting a bird's eye view of mom and dad's life and how they're making it happen. So, like, is this all they know? But they obviously see people operating on a very different plane. So how are you transferring this potential to them? It seems like
so when we learn and grow together, we really learn and grow together. When I say we've done all these events, if you've heard of Tony Robbins, we've done a platinum year, we've done all of his events, our children were sat right beside us.
Yeah.
They were taking in this content. I didn't even realize how young they were because they used to have ear defenders, and I'd give them things to gadget and play with. And one day dad couldn't make it for some reason, and we went back, and you know when you're carrying everything, like keys in your mouth, bags, all that stuff, and dad had said, like, so what did you learn today? And I'm like, and my little boy got out paper and drew like the whole day's content, and I didn't even know he was listening because he sat on the floor playing with Lego bricks and dinosaurs. So they've been taking in all this incredible content. And if you think as grown-ups, when we want to learn something new, we have to try and push the other stuff out the way. They're empty sponges, so all they've known is all this amazing stuff from world change, from people making a difference. I don't see them going out and working for an hourly rate unless it's something that really makes them happy. They've already learned about passive income. They've already created passive income for themselves, and they're always building and growing on that, which it blows my mind. Whenever we learn something, we go, oh my God, if we knew this then, and we make sure they know this then.
Yeah. Pay it forward to your children. Learn, let them not have to eat your sorrows, and just move forward from where you
I want them to have choices. I want them to have money working for them rather than them working for money, so that whatever they want to do, create, they have the choices available.
Your enthusiasm for this subject is clear. This is awesome. If you were to communicate with someone, they're in the machine, they're still a cog, or they feel like it, they don't have this sense of autonomy and control maybe of their life and their children's education that they want, right? Homeschooling is one way to take back control from another system. And it sounds like work and that whole life cycle that a lot of people go through as the norm is something that you guys also sought to take back. But those are really, they seem synergistic. They're working together. What advice would you give to someone who's like, that sounds great, but I have no idea. I have no idea where to start, how to make the changes to get there. Like, what is the catalyst for someone, if you were talking to a parent who is interested but lost, where would you direct them? What would you tell them to do first?
So first, we have a book called Creatively Homeless, and it's all about making your life your way and all the options, not what we do or how we do it, that's in there, but there is so many more things available that people just don't know. They do not know. You know, when you discover something that you didn't even know you didn't know, it's so exciting. So we have a book full of all that stuff. And my key thing, I think, is fail fast and fail forward, because our book business and our family business are incredible businesses. We failed fantastically at so many other things before we got this right. We tried affiliate marketing. We tried MLM, where you're selling stuff for this little commission. We tried selling things from Amazon to eBay. Like we did blogging back when that was trendy, because we started this journey like 9-10 years ago. So we have tried so many things to the point that we failed fantastically so many times. Success was all that was left because we failed so hard at everything else. So it's not, if you go, okay, I'm going to try it, and you try doing something on Etsy or something and it doesn't take off, change the plan. Try something new, try something different. Don't get stuck and go, well, I tried and it didn't work.
Yeah.
If we all won first time, no one would be doing what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about any of you, but I'm not doing what I thought I was going to be doing. And I think allowing ourselves to see failures as opportunities, it sounds like the mindset shift that you have made. And that I think is probably the first foundation of a growth mindset, is that your mistakes, it's like the scientific process, right? You create a hypothesis, you observe, you experiment, and if it completely bombs, then you know that's not the way. So that's what you learn.
I love learning from parents of amazing people. So Einstein, we know him as the cleverest man. Yet if you look into his parenting and his mum, and she homeschooled him. I don't know if you know the story, but it gets excited for me. So he came home from school with a letter, and she opens the letter up in front of him and she reads it out. Your son is far too clever and academic for us. We don't have the professors to teach him. You're going to have to school him at home. So obviously years later, she passes, he's clearing his desk and he finds the letter and he opens it up, and now he can read. It says, your son is a dunce. He's too stupid. We are not going to waste our professor's time teaching your son. The difference a mum can make or a parent can make with her words alone, so powerful, it just freaks me out. And then you've got Edison. He once got the milk out the fridge, dropped it all over the floor. Rather than shout at him, when mum had finished clearing up, she lined up like 15 milk bottles, all with water in, and said, okay, let's see how many different ways we can get that bottle from the fridge to the side without breaking it. Like, that's just, parents are so powerful if we just teach our kids right. We don't do a lot of TV, but Disney have one movie called Meet the Robinsons. And their slogan, if you've seen it, is keep moving forward. And when someone fails, they celebrate like it's the biggest success ever. And we really incorporate that into our teaching.
I love that. That's such a mindset shift for a lot of people. But one thing I definitely want to highlight is that the influence that a parent and particularly a mom a lot of times can have as the advocate of their children, and like Einstein's mommy, reframing language to give them the truth that they need to hear, rather than someone else's truth, which has been prescribed for them.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And if people are bringing their children out of school, what the schools see their child as, that's just one perspective. There's a whole, we hear now ADHD and I can't think of all the words, but there's a whole catalogue of what your kids could be now. They're geniuses in their own right if you find the passion.
Yeah. We are in a society that is quick to label. Thank you, Haley, for being here. People with a condition, and those labels can become a child's identity very quickly. And there's nothing wrong with a label per se, but I think what you're saying is maybe our children deserve some better labels. Happy would be a great label to give our children, curious, charismatic, versus a condition that defines you. And you are 100% right. You look back on world history, and I think a lot of the geniuses that we look back on today, they would diagnose with something like autism, which for a lot of families feels like a hurdle that is insurmountable. But in reality, it's allowing them to be who they are, which is very different, so that they can flourish in the ways that only they uniquely can. So that is, I think, a big encouragement that a lot of parents would need to hear.
I love that. I believe it wholeheartedly. Everyone has an incredible gift to bring this world, and so many aren't getting shared because they're being squished and confined to boxes.
Yeah. I guess one thing I would want to do is, where can people find you? You mentioned Creatively Homeless, and so I definitely want to link that and make sure that people know where they can find it. But what things are you doing to build your community to be a disciple maker for this style of schooling? And where can people kind of learn more about these different kinds of resources and be encouraged by what you're doing?
So we have our school community that we've set up, which is more, parent based on Worldschooling rather than your homeschooling.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like step 2. So you get them like out of school and into like getting comfortable, and then we smash the boxes and go and get on airplanes. And then we have our website where you can find all our links, which is Forever Family, Forever Free.
Forever Family, Forever Free. And Parent on Purpose World School.
Absolutely.
Where you can learn more about Creatively Homeless and all the things that Laura and your family are doing. Laura, thanks so much for taking the time to share. And I love the energy that clearly is exuding from something that you're clearly excited about. I think we need to hear other narratives about what homeschool can be for you as a family, for others and their families. And I think what I'm hearing in addition to a lot of other things, is the sky is the limit, and the limitations are the ones that you set for yourself. And when you choose to not be limited by some of the things that the world says you ought to be, opportunities reveal themselves. And I'm personally encouraged by this, because there's different aspects in our family where we're pulling triggers on things, and you got to go for it. And there's risk, and there's always going to be risk. There's risk in not doing something, and there's risk in making decisions in another direction. So we don't have to fear risk. We just see it as a new opportunity for something different.
And not enough people do that bit that you just caught there. What's the risk of not doing it?
Yes.
When you can really hold that and realize, if I don't make the choice, that's a decision too. And the consequences are normally way more dire than trying.
Yeah. And I think one of the problems that a lot of us suffer with is that we just don't calculate all the risks. We see the problem on one side, but let's look at no matter what, we're coming into a world with potential, and those potentials could be good or bad. Let's know what they are, because one of the exercises I've learned is write out your worst case scenario. If we do this, what's all the bad things that could happen, and what's all the good things that could happen? And likewise, if we don't do this, what are all the bad things that could happen, and what are the good things that could happen? And then, based off of something real, let's make our decision being informed. And I think a lot of us would choose a different kind of risk if we think about it a little bit more. So,
and I don't know about you, but we had lots of friends and family telling us all the things that would go wrong. So we had that narrative coming at every angle. No one was like, but what if it did work? No one had that voice. We had to really dig deep to get the courage to just go, okay, what if it does? And we never, honestly, when we first left, I never in my wildest dreams would think 8-9 years later, we've not had to go home. We've not had to retreat. We've not had to go back to the job. it just stacked and just got better and better and better. And at the beginning, oh, but what about the kids? How will my kids turn out? And now they're incredible human beings, already making an impact and a difference. Whew, I never saw the results of that risk being so huge.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think one of the takeaways I'm getting, just as a kind of, as we close here, one of the reasons that we seek out community is because we need people who are sharing the right message in our circle. We already have lots of people from the outside and even on the inside when it comes to family want to give us a narrative. But if we are going to thrive, sometimes we need to do it together. And so finding your people, finding your tribe, parent on purpose is part of what the Start Homeschooling community is for people coming in. It's part of what the Homeschool Mastery Group is for people who are taking that next step. We don't have to do this thing alone, and I don't think we should. And so it sounds like that's what you're doing. You're trying to share what you guys have learned with a community who needs to hear this narrative.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Laura, for sharing. We'll definitely make this available. I'll try to find all the links, and if I'm missing any, you let me know so that people know how to find it.
Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. Great. Have a blessed day.
Thanks.